Greetings, friend. In this tutorial, I'll teach you how to solve any, that's right, any classic Sudoku, no matter how hard, using the Bowman's bingo technique. I'll tell you the origin of the term and how to best implement Bowman's bingo to solve ridiculously hard Sudoku in less than 10 minutes. Before we get started, click subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications if you want to turn your passing interest in Sudoku into a fun and enjoyable hobby. You're going to be joining the best Sudoku community on YouTube. Puzzle link is in the description below, and with that, it's solving time. Okay, I asked Hodoku desktop app to generate a very hard puzzle for me. You can look over on the right and notice that there's a ton of advanced and unfair and extreme strategies, even a forcing chain required to solve this logically. We're going to bypass 99% of all that with just a few smart decisions and basic techniques. You're going to be able to solve this puzzle quickly. All right, I'm going to simulate how much information you'd have if you did this with paper and pencil by going over here in Hodoku on the options, and I'm going to click off show invalid values and show deviations. Because if you have those turned on, as soon as we hit something that is a wrong choice, it's just going to pop up in pink and give an error message. We don't want that. You wouldn't know that if you're solving with paper and pencil. And I want to keep all the candidates showing because it's going to be a little bit easier for you to see what happens with each choice as we go along the way. So the first step, very simple, is to solve as much as you can using basic techniques. You might notice if we highlight the ones, there's only one over here in block 3. And then we go and look right here, here's the 4s. You see this 1 6, 1 6, and there's a 1 4 6. You know that the 1 6 can't be there because this is a naked pair, 1 and 6. So you can solve that for 4. And since you have a naked pair here, you can remove all the 6s because the 1 and 6 have to be in these 2 cells in row 1. And it's also within the block, they're locked candidates. You can move the 6s from here. Again, this is the hardest strategy I'm going to show you, is this naked pair, other than how to use the Bowman's bingo. All right, looking for the 2s now. You have 1 2 here in block 4. And then with the 4s, we can do a pointing pair. You see how the 4s are restricted in block 6 to row 5. So you can't put a 4 anywhere outside of row 5, outside of this block. If you do that, if we put a 4 here or here, you'd have no place to put a 4 in block 6. Hopefully that makes sense. This is a Sudoku pointing pair. I cover that. I cover naked pairs and the other types of pairs and triples and singles in my Sudoku solving guide. You can download it for free in the pinned comment below. It's my gift to you. After doing this pointing pair, you can look at the 5s and see we can remove this 5. And then in block 6, you might notice with these 2 cells, they form a naked pair, right? 6 and 9 are restricted to those 2 cells. They're the only 2 candidates that can be in those 2 cells in block 6. So you can remove a 6 and 9 from all of these other cells, and that means you can solve this cell for a 3. Gives you a 4 8 naked pair right here. It's also going to be a locked pair. Since it's in row 5 and in block 6, you can't have a 4 and 8 anywhere else along the row or within the block. All right, we'll remove those colors. So, easy naked pairs that we're solving here. And then with the 7s, we can solve for 7 in block 9. And in block 4, we got another pointing pair of 7s. 7s are restricted to row 5 in block 4, so we remove those possibilities for 7s in block 5. Then in row 6, you might see another naked pair that we created. And so you can remove the 6 and the 9 from across row 6. You got a 4 8 naked pair. There's no more eliminations you can make, but you always want to check that. All right. Now with the 8s, see something interesting here. The 8s are restricted to columns 5 and 6 in block 2 and block 5. You'll notice that the only place an 8 can be in column 4 is down here in block 8. So this is claiming triple, actually. These are claiming candidates right here. So you have an 8 here and here, or here and here. So an 8's got to be in one of these spots in block 8. So we can make that mark. And then after we've made a few of these marks, you'll notice now these 6s are a pointing pair across row 7. After you solve the 7 and 5, you got a pointing pair. So that is all the normal solves that you can make. And you can move on with some advanced strategies. There's a 2-string kite, there's X-wings you could do. We're not going to get into all that. We're going to make this very simple. We'll get into step 2 of our Bowman's bingo technique. And step 2 is just to identify all the buy value cells, the BVCs, because I'm going to be honest with you, what you're doing, Bowman's bingo, is about bifurcating. It's about picking one choice, seeing if it solves a puzzle. If it doesn't, you pick the other choice. I mean, that's the basic definition for a Bowman's bingo. So we're showing all the buy value cells, and now this step 3 is the most critical step of the technique. It's to choose which one of these buy value cells you want to start with. You could do any of them, but they're not going to give you fast results. You want to try to dig deep in the puzzle and have as many possible digits solved with the choice you make, so that when you solve a cell, you're going to have many more solves to follow it. All right. And what you do next and how you do it will greatly impact how you solve the rest of the puzzle. And this is the last of the last resort strategies. When you don't know anything else to do, you can do this on easier puzzles, but for really difficult ones, this is the thing you try. And where it came from, the term Bowman's bingo, it was in a Sudoku forum. There's a guy named Mad Overlord. He named after Doug Bowman. Doug Bowman had done some Sudoku work on coloring, Sudoku coloring. And so that's the Bowman part. And then the bingo part comes from the idea of using bingo chips, that you use to play bingo. They use it as a place marker. So a translucent chip, you put it on there as a place marker. So that's our step 3, picking this buy value cell that creates plenty of solves if it is right. So of these, which one would you want to choose? And what I would look is, you look at these 1s and 6s and go, all right, if I picked a 1 or a 6, would I be able to create several more solves? And this cell right here, you notice if you put this as a 1, you're going to be able to solve a 1 right here, solve a 1 right there, you'll be able to solve a 1 here and here. So you're going to get a lot of 1s solved. So that is probably a good reason to pick that. And then with the same thing with the 6s, by solving the 1, you're going to be able to get some of these 6s knocked out, because you can immediately solve this cell for a 6. So usually it's good to pick a BVC that's part of maybe a naked pair, because you're going to get quite a few solves here. And that's what you're trying to do. How many possible solves can you get? So our marker is going to go right here on row 1, column 2. And if you're doing this with paper and pencil, what you can do is, I've seen this done, is you're going to make a mark. You need to know, hey, yeah, this is definitely a 1. Mark it on your sheet, and then put a transparency sheet over the grid. All right? And then what you'll do is use a dry erase marker, and all the new solves you make, put them in a different color. So if you're solving in black, you'll put them in red or blue and follow along, because you'll see we're going to get to another decision point here real soon. So what we can do here is you can solve that for a 1. So we say, what if this is a 1, right? What would happen to this grid? You'd see that would be a 1, this would be a 1, that'd be a 1, and that'd be a 1. Okay. We're trying to find a contradiction. You're trying to work all the way to the point you get a contradiction. If you get no contradiction, you actually guessed right, and you'll be able to solve the rest of the puzzle. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally you're going to end up with a contradiction because you're just guessing. All right, so what we do now when you run out of these easy solves, which is what we've done, there's nothing easy to solve here except maybe putting this 6 there, is you're going to make another choice. And so this is our first marker on the purple 1. Our second marker, we want to pick another cell that's going to be pretty easy for us. And so what I see here with the 6 is, if you put a 6 in this spot, you'd be able to solve a 6 here. This would make a pointing pair of 6s. You're going to solve a 6 here. You're going to solve a 6 here. So that's what I'd want to use for the second marker. Use another buy value cell that's going to get you some more solves. And so we're going to make a different marker. So the first marker was on row 1, column 2 as a 1, right? This is now row 6, column 3 as a 6. And you can see what happens if I choose a 6 here. So 6 there, 6 and 9 here. You got a 6 here, right? This is a pointing pair of 6s. You put a 6 right there. And you continue on with a little bit of solving. You got a 7 and a 9 right here. 6 and 5, these are all just naked singles, hidden singles. 3, 8 there. So you get rid of that as a 3. And then you'd look down and see that you can only put a 4 in this spot in block 8, which means with this 3, 8, that's going to be your 2, that's going to be your 9, that's going to be a 7. Now you come up with a problem. Look at these two cells. They both say 5, right? So if you mark one of these cells for 5, you have nothing to put right here. You have found a contradiction. And so this is step 4. And this comes from the idea of Ariadne's thread. Okay, if you remember Greek mythology, Theseus is trying to go into the maze to kill the Minotaur. Ariadne gave him a long spool of thread. And she said, it's a big maze. In order to get back out, as you walk along, drop the thread. And so each turn you make, you can follow the thread. If you go to a dead end, come on back to where you made that choice and make a different choice. That's what we're doing right here. Ariadne's thread. That's the idea. So we know that row 6, column 3 can't be a 6. We go back to that point in the puzzle. It's easy if you're doing solving app. Paper and pencil, you just kind of remove that overlay and go, okay, well, try a 9. And so then you put a 9 here and go, what does that do? 6, 9, 9. This has to be a 6. And you just continue on with the solve. 6 and 7 here means that would be a 9. That's going to be a 5. We continue on. The 7 here. Got to be a 4. That's a 2. That's a 9. 5 and a 6. 3, 8, 3, 8 means that's going to be your 9. 9, 9, 7. We're looking pretty good, right? Maybe we guessed right. 6, 7. And keep on going here. 8, 4. Oh, and you see we get a blank spot. All right, this means there's no logical value that can go in this cell right now, right? Because you need a 2, 5, and an 8 up here, and you got the 2, 5, 8 all in row 2. So we know that this can't be a 6 or a 9. What it means is this is not a logical part of our puzzle. We guessed wrong up here. So now what you're going to do in step 4 is this part is you go on back here all the way to our first marker. We evaluate this can't be a 6 or a 9. So I can remove this as a marker, go all the way back so we mark this as a 1. And we know this has to be a 6. It has to be a 6. A 1 creates a contradiction puzzle no matter where we go. All right, because we hit this other by value cell and there's no logical choices for that. So you know that cell has to be a 6. So you can remove that as a marker because that is a definite solve of a 6. And then you can move on and you repeat steps 1 through 4 as you go. And what is surprising about this Bowman's Bingo is the amount of choices you're going to make. Normally, if you pick really good by-value cells like we did here, you can get through the whole puzzle in like 2 to 5 choices. That's it. It's not like you're going to each cell and picking something and move on to the next. You saw we had like 20 different by-value cells. You could pick the best 2, 3. You'll get through this puzzle pretty quickly. So what does this do for this puzzle, right? We do want to solve it. That's going to be a 1. If you go to the 1s, you'll notice that that's got to be a 1. This is a 1. And we can solve all the 1s. Pretty easy. All right. And then we look and see, what can we solve next? Go to, these 6s are a claiming pair. So you can remove the 6 from right there. And, you just look at some of these other cells and see, is there an easy way we can solve the puzzle? All right. 4, 5, 6s, 7. Got some 7s right here. And we're just going to keep going until we find a contradiction. 7, 9 means that these can't be 9. So that'd be a 3, 8. That's got to be your 9. 5, 6 cuts across. With the 3, 8 means that can't be a 3, right? Because you got a naked pair of 3, 8. I have a naked pair 2, 9. So that can't be a 9. And you just keep on going to see if you can find another contradiction. Okay, that's a naked single 6, 9. Looking good. The 9's pointing pair down there. You got a 6 right there and a 9 here. 7, 6, looking great so far. Still just doing naked singles here. All right. That's got to be your only 7 remaining. 6, 5 right there. Okay. What else can we solve here? You'll notice that you just do a little more color coding. Go to the 9s, go to the 8s. How about 6s? Okay, how about the 5s? Ooh, all right. fours. You got this naked single 4 right there. I mean, that's a 6. That's a 4. That's a 2. That's a 3. 9, 6. So we're looking to see if there's going to be another spot where it's not an easy solve. And what you noticed is all these were naked and hidden singles. And so far, since we have not hit another contradiction or a spot where we got hard stuck, we know that we have solved this puzzle. Now check out this next video to see how DX Sudoku approaches these types of puzzles using his forcing net technique. Thank you so much for watching.